You didn't mess up your life. God rerouted it, and you called it failure. You prayed. You planned. You did everything right. And it still went wrong. The door slammed shut, and you stood there wondering, did I miss God? Here's what nobody tells you. A wrong turn does not mean a wrong life. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." You plan the course. God establishes the steps. That means the detour wasn't random. It was redirected. But I'm going to say something that might offend you. The thing you call missing God is often God saving you from the version of you that would have been destroyed by success. So if you're sitting in the wreckage of a plan that collapsed, what if you didn't fail? What if the detour was always the plan? Here's what happens when a plan collapses, and it's the part nobody wants to admit. The first thing you lose isn't the job or the relationship. It's confidence. Your brain says, I missed God. I wasn't listening. I made the wrong choice. That's the detour dilemma. You thought you were following God until the road ended. But what if some closed doors aren't correction, they're protection? Isaiah 55:8-9. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. Your logic isn't his blueprint. Your timeline isn't his strategy. When plans collide, it's not always a mistake. Sometimes your plan met God's plan and his won, not because yours was wrong, but because his was better. If you miss this next part, you'll misread your entire life. First, detours expose what you've been worshiping. You don't know what you're depending on until it's gone. Lose a job? You weren't just trusting God for provision, you were trusting the paycheck for identity. Sometimes God doesn't take the job. He takes the God you built out of the job. God will remove what you're clinging to, so you'll finally cling to him. Second, detours form character. Comfort builds habits. Pressure builds honesty. You wouldn't have chosen this growth, so God gave you a detour. And in that detour, he's forming something comfort never could: character. Third, detours redirect assignment. God doesn't change. The lane does. Sometimes God closes a door not because you're off mission, but because the method was limiting the mission. Romans 8:28. In all things, God works for the good of those who love him. That job loss, not good. But God's working. That heartbreak, not good. But God's working. Here are the two detours almost everyone gets wrong. What if you didn't lose a job? What if you lost a cage? That job wasn't your assignment. It was your holding pattern. Here's the sign. Control decreases. Clarity increases. The income dropped, but the confusion lifted. If that's you, you didn't lose your job. You graduated. Sometimes God ends what you keep excusing. You prayed for clarity. He gave you a breakup. You prayed for peace. He removed the person disrupting it. And yes, it hurts. But your mind becomes clear. Here's the guardrail. Not every detour is from God. Some are consequences. But God can still redirect you through consequences when you realign. The moment you say, okay, God, what now? That's when the reroute becomes redemptive. This is where most people stay stuck, so pay close attention. 4 questions to discern a divine detour. And here's what's at stake. If you refuse these questions, you will turn a detour into a decade. Question 1. What did I lose, and why did it threaten my identity? If the loss destabilized you, God might be deconstructing what you built so he can rebuild it on something solid. Question 2. What might God be protecting me from? Maybe that job would have worked you into burnout. Maybe that relationship would have kept you small. Protection doesn't always feel like love. Sometimes it feels like loss. But when you look back, you'll see it was mercy. Question 3. What is this detour forcing me to learn? God will put you in a situation you can't control to teach you something you won't learn any other way. The detour isn't just redirecting your path, it's refining your character. Question 4. What does obedience look like this week? Not next month. This week. Obedience in a detour looks like one faithful step, and when you take that step, God recalculates the route. A detour is not a verdict, it's a process. If your steps are ordered by God, then your detour wasn't random, it was precision. Psalm 37:23. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Not just the destination, the steps. Every single one. If God is ordering your steps, then the detour is the path. The closed door is the direction. The thing you're calling failure? That's God being precise. I know you've been whispering, did I mess this up? Did I miss it? Let me answer that. Yes, He's with you. No, you didn't miss Him. You didn't fail. You were rerouted. So comment your detour below. Share this with someone stuck in self-blame. And subscribe because next week, I'm talking about the one thing people obsess over in prayer that God barely cares about. Wherever you are right now in the waiting, in the wreckage, you're not lost. You're exactly where God knew you'd be. He's not surprised. He's working. Even now. Especially now. So stop calling it failure. Start calling it precision. I'll see you next week. Grace and peace.